Do you have a toxic family? This video is about how to deal with toxic family members. And some of you may need to cut them off. Sometimes we just need some space and time to heal, and so that we can set boundaries. Chances are your family is toxic, and you get sucked in, not being heard, not being seen, not being loved. And when you stay in this toxic family system, it prevents you from healing and growing. And some of the typical toxic dynamics that take place are things like the family actually caters to one or two abusive toxic members. So all their needs come first. And maybe the family is upside down, where the children are the resource, not the parents. And sometimes the support we receive is deviating and is seen as betraying or selfish or being dumb, entitled, shameful. All kinds of deviating words can be called out. And also, by doing what is best for you, can result in being gaslit. And so all of a sudden you're gaslit into you being the burden. And the thing is I want to talk about love, because love, people who love you, they want you to be free. They want you to be happy. Love is a behavior. And so you want to reflect right now on how does your family love you? And some things you might want to reflect on are you independent or enmeshed? Are you supported or indebted, where you're in debt to them? Do they know you? Do they know who you are? Or do they know their story about you? What are they living with you? Do they truly know who you are? Or are you dealing with the story that they created about you? Because that can be quite frustrating. So if you have traits where you're able to be independent, where you're free and happy, and you're supported, and they know who you are, then there's a lot of love there. But if you're not free and happy, if you're not allowed or able to be independent, and you're enmeshed into their system, or they make you feel like you're indebted to them, or you have to live their story or their perception of you, then you're in a hostage situation within the family. And a lot of these can also cause outside struggles. And that's one thing that I want to go into. And a lot of these struggles include having a deep loneliness and sadness that you don't have a somewhat normal family. And that creates a grief in your life and a lack. So the grief can come upon us, or the negative feelings that are similar to the feeling of grief or loneliness can come upon us when we see other people with a happy family unit, or the feeling of watching a normal family and what you perceive that normal to be, or you're watching TV and emotions come up. Sometimes we'll take a break from our family, and when we go back to them, or if we call them after a little bit of space, the same thing will resurface. And it's like a never-ending merry-go-round. Sometimes we'll get clobbered by them, and some of the things that we can experience is a betrayal of trust. Like they will throw things in your face that you confided in them about or went to them for help. They can take advantage of us by not helping, or they can take advantage of us, financially, mentally, emotionally. There's one way that they will be taking advantage of us. Maybe it's mentally. They will blame and shame you about some big problem rather than help you. They will always try to sabotage something that you want or something that is important to you. And they will focus on others when you need them the most. And that is actually a narcissistic quality. And they will abandon you at the worst time. When you need them, they will abandon you. And sometimes they will actually go into sometimes they'll actually go and focus on your sibling or someone else while you have to watch and suffer. There's different roles in a toxic family. There's the abuser, and that is the person that is in the center of the family universe simply because they demand that position. And then there's the enabler, and the enabler has the authority and allows the abuse to take place. They're often simply happy to stand by and watch. And then there's the flying monkeys. And a flying monkey is like the remote control for the abuser, a way to reaffirm their messages, to control the victim and inflict abuse when the victim is away. And then there's a golden child, one child that is placed above the rest, and this child can do no wrong, and they're shaped in the image or the perceived image of the bully. And then there's the scapegoat, and that is usually the victim. There's nothing that the scapegoat can do. Their talents can be achievements, but they're still cast aside as failures. And they'll even make up stories and lie about things so that the scapegoat has no room to move or do right. And a lot of times, that is the abuser's sick little thrill. They get a thrill out of it. And then some people will have the peacekeeper in the family. And they're similar to the enabler, but they lack the authority. And one child will always try to keep the toxic family together. The peacekeeper is often manipulative. And sometimes we don't even have a peacekeeper in the family. So some of you may not even have a peacekeeper that's there to help you. Maybe it's a grandparent who's the peacekeeper. But then once the grandparent, leaves this earth, there's no peacekeepers. And a lot of times that's when the family becomes even more toxic. Many times, these situations will make us feel like we're not being heard, we're not being seen, we're not being loved. It's frustrating. We do not feel like we're understood. And it is devastating. It can make us feel completely devastated and stuck. And not only does it affect who we are and our personal expression, it affects our self-esteem. It affects us emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And this is devastating. So we'll take a break. Sometimes it's, only a couple days. Sometimes it's months. But we usually pull back and take a break from being around them if we can. Some of you may live with them and can't. But every time we take a break or take a pause and then re-enter the situation, only to find that there's no change. And every time we re-enter the situation, even after a scuffle, we always hope that maybe this time there will be a little change. But it usually doesn't happen. And so our optimism is broken and destroyed every time we hope for a better outcome. And if this is how you're feeling, and this relates to you in some way, then you are in a toxic family system. And it is important for you to actually cut them off and break away. Because staying in this family system the way it is only going to delay in your own healing and empowerment. And so you won't feel like you're growing. And you're not. And you may recognize and sacrifice yourself so that you don't disrupt the family, but the family is already disrupted. And you're the victim. And you can't let yourself be treated this way. It doesn't allow you to grow. It doesn't allow you to be free. And it's not going to change. unless you receive some kind of miracle or outside help. Counseling, family counseling, sometimes that can be successful. But most of the time, these toxic families will be offended if you even bring up counseling. Sometimes cutting off the family is the move that some of you may need to take for enlightenment, wisdom, and healing to take place. Let them come to you and see what happens. So I want to go into how you can do a formal cutoff. So a formal cutoff is when you tell the family members or a family member that you are doing a cutoff. And usually it's done by sending a short letter. Sometimes that can be not the right move, though, if you know they're just going to keep it and use it against you and use it for the lawyers. But sometimes just being honest and getting it out verbally is something that you can do. And you can cut off your entire family if you find that they're all involved in its topic or toxic, or you can cut off just the abusers. But I find that most people find success when they deal with the whole family, unless you do have a peacekeeper or someone around you that you can confide in and trust and are not part of the toxic unit. You can definitely still have your connection with the positive influences in your life. But when you are doing a cutoff, you want to, number one, tell them why you're cutting them out. And you want to let them know how long. And some of you may be like, I just need a break for a couple of months or a month, get my peace. It's just too much. I need to reset. Or you can demand change. And the length of your cutoff will have to do with the changes that you're expecting them to make. And that also goes into the third, setting your boundaries. And you know, a lot of times I find that after I've had an altercation with my toxic family or in-laws or husband's family, or if I'm helping other people that are experiencing toxicity in their family and relationships, a lot of times the boundaries come after a little while of reflecting. So when we remove ourselves from the situation, our spirit and guidance can come forth and help us with our boundaries and let us see the things that we want to set. Be clear on why. This is your last statement before the cutoff. And so you want to make sure that you are speaking out exactly why you're cutting them off. And so one example is why. You can say, hello, our family is abusive and toxic, and we are at an impasse. I am cutting myself from you and the family in order to get space to heal. So you want to make sure you tell them the issue and what you're doing when you're cutting yourself off from that group. I need space to heal. I need space to, break the mentality that I feel that I am with the situation. I'm cutting myself off from you because I emotionally am in a state that I want to change. I don't like feeling this way. Make sure that you express on why. Remember that you may not receive the response that you wish when you are cutting your family members out. And that's because they already see you as an adversity. You're already an issue, so they're not open to understanding. And that's okay. You're doing this for you. If you have any tips or would like to share something that you've learned or experienced with a toxic family member, or have any signs, anything that you'd like to share, I would love to hear from you. And I thank you for listening. Please subscribe if you want to enjoy more videos. I hope this was helpful for you, and I believe that this is a time that we all need to step out and heal. You are so deserving of living the life that you dream of. Actually, you deserve more than what you are dreaming of, and there's always healing available to you. But we need to take the steps, and we need to break the environment and situation for a change in our path to occur. Many blessings to you always. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.